big tech, YouTube is the latest, to decide that any conversation or postings about election fraud is not going to be posted on YouTube. So I guess I have no shot, guys, of having that segment, which I was lucky enough to interview those two attorney generals, of going on YouTube. I'm very disappointed. But in all seriousness, it's unbelievable the way these big tech companies are flat out taking the incoming and being biased because they just want the outcome. The outcome is Joe Biden president.
Before the election.
Right, and this is more of an example because the election's not certified of them doing it.
This is the same thing I've been saying. I haven't had the pleasure of saying it to Fox and Friends, so if they're listening, I don't know if they watch your show, but hello. Let me just say this, because I usually say this to Tim Pool or Stephen Crowder's and all that. There's not an inherent liberal or conservative bias when it comes to tech companies whatsoever. The only thing they care about is the monies. That's it. That's the only thing that's important. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders to produce profit every year and produce more profit every single year. That's how it works. If that turns out that right now it's profitable to be more woke per se, or it's more profitable to follow the Overton window ultimately, which is a good thing. Like the fact that these companies are considered more woke now is because of people like you, people like Jeff, people like you at home in chat. It's because you pushed the Overton window to the left, where they're like, we as companies have to reflect that to continue to be profitable. That's how the whole system works. So when you've got someone like Fox and Friends saying, "Oh, now they're censoring us. We can't misgender people anymore. Or that we're going to be considered, bigots because of that. They're censoring anyone who does that." It's because that's not considered normal within polite society. Let's say that.
So you're absolutely right on what you're saying. You know who wasn't right? Brian Kilmeade, because that's not what they're doing. So here's what they are doing, right? So the Associated Press says that YouTube says it will start removing newly uploaded material that claims widespread voter fraud or errors that had changed the outcome. Okay, so they're saying that any new information or any new videos filled with misinformation or disinformation will be banned. All right, so all your old stuff, on these conservative websites that are saying, "Oh man, look at all this, look at all these errors, look at all this potential voter fraud," that can stay. But all the new stuff that's continuing with the conspiracy theories, that has got to go, because you're basically confusing people, and you're causing some issues. And look, here's the thing. Okay, so there are like two different minds on this one. Okay, so there are conservatives that are like, why should I vote if I know it's rigged? Mm-hmm. Right? So part of me thinks, well then, okay, well it's rigged. I guess it's rigged. Don't vote. That just means more legitimate votes for us. Okay.
Yeah, of course. It worked out great for the mail-in ballots.
Yeah. But then there's the other thing where it's like, maybe this is kind of dangerous to democracy, and maybe we should actually do something about it, because these people, some of them, there's a small slice of them that are insane and are very heavily armed. And that could be an issue.
I totally agree with you. Yeah. That was my biggest fear when it came to Donald Trump in the first place, coming forward and being the whole thing. The election's been rigged. I've been doing this, and then Proud Boys stand down or stand up or whatever. That to me was way more frightening than the prospect of him actually stealing the presidency, because I was like, I don't envision a scenario in which he actually convinces the military to perform a coup and prevent Biden from becoming the president. That's never going to happen. But what could happen is all these militias who are angry and have been fed all these lies, both by him and Crowder and every other person on the right-wing media, yes, they could take to violence in the streets. That's way more frightening to me.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct on that. And so here's the other thing, right? The other issue with this is people that are, you mentioned the free speech absolutists, right? That are like, if you take anything down from the internet, and this is coming from the left, by the way, because there are free speech absolutists on the left as well, that are like, well, if you take that down, you are stifling free speech. That's going to be a problem, because then they're going to come after lefty speech, and you're also giving them more ammunition in order to say, oh my God, the media is rigged against us. I mean, they're already saying that anytime you do any sort of things like that. I mean, where are you going to draw the line on that?
Well, that's
it's a difficult question, isn't it?
I was like, that's not a 1 second clip question. It's like, what sound bites do you have ready for this one, Lance? Well, let me tell you. Where do I draw the line on free speech absolutism? I will say this, that I think there is limits to free speech in Canada. They're very simply defined as, hate speech, for example. I know you don't have hate speech laws the same way we do here. Right. There's different degrees to how hate speech can be implemented, but I think that there has to be a certain decorum. I'll put it to you this way. Zizek had a very good quote where he said that a certain kind of dogmatism in society is acceptable for a healthy society. He's like, and I'll give you this example. All right. So this is my worst Zizek, but if we were to take, no, sorry, I can't do that for my worst. What he said is that if you were going to debate someone on something that might or might not have merit is one thing, but if you're going to debate someone on something that we as a society have deemed unreasonable, such as what are the merits of rape? Would you debate someone on that? And the answer, of course, is no. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't matter if they're like, well, it feels good or whatever. There's nothing to be said there. That is not a worthy conversation to be had with anyone. So that is something that I feel as a society, we can come to a certain point where we're like, yes, we accept that. We agree with that. The same thing I would say on the internet in pertaining to, say, let's say Holocaust denial would be one of them, right? Like I would not see where that fits into positive discourse. Like, what is the positive thing we can have as an outcome of entertaining such an idea? Now, I know the absolutists will say at the same time, well, does that mean then that what if we get to a point where like they are actually 1984ing us, right? I would say that I don't think you should ever censor private speech. Ever. Mm-hmm. So if you want to, in your own time, in your own house, talk about denying the Holocaust, scream the N-word at your cat, whatever you want, you have the right to do that until the end of days. I think that should always be the case. You can go do that. I personally don't. I think that's kind of disgusting. You want to do about those things, but anyways,
your poor cat.
Yeah, I know. Poor cat. I mean, but you have the right to do that forever. In public forums, we have different standards because, yes, there are classes that need to be protected. There are certain people who are vilified in everyday street. You know, the high rates of suicide that occur in the trans community happen in large part, almost overwhelmingly, because of the way they are treated in society. So there's a benefit. There's a benefit to this. So I think the line is obviously very tricky and sticky. I don't have an absolutist answer for you. Like, this is where I draw the line, sir. But that would be my entry into that discussion, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I look at it right now is that you have these private corporations, okay, Twitter, Facebook, Google, whatever, and they have a TOS. And if you break the TOS, I mean, that sucks for you. You broke it. That doesn't mean that they need to host your stuff anymore. So if they want to make a decision.
But wow, do they not enforce those like universally?
No, they don't. And you're right that they don't enforce those evenly for sure. Yeah. They do have a big issue with that. And so, that notwithstanding, they do have those things that they can do. It's not, and the overall point is that they're not the government. Okay. And so it's not a free speech issue. That said, there is an issue, of course, with, since they are large platforms and they reach millions of people potentially. I mean, not just potentially, they do reach millions of people. So you can make a video about election fraud. Tim Pool can make an election fraud video. He probably has. And it'll get millions of views because he's gigantic. And so that has a problem in it because of the discourse and how it can change the discourse and how it can affect people and what kind of actions that they'll take. And so... Yeah,
absolutely. I would say... Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, the absolutist position, there is some merit to some of their positions as well. And so that's why it makes it such a sticky issue.
Sorry, I'm just going to...
What's that?
Oh, it's like I just have to cough, but unfortunately I'm going to send it to my chat and they're going to have to hear me cough. I was like, I didn't want to cough in your stream.
It's fine. It's fine. The magic of editing.
The water went down the wrong tube there. Sorry, what I was going to say as an example, this is as classy as it gets. What I was going to say is an example of this. Take Alex Jones, okay? Take Alex Jones for an example. Alex Jones, if he wants to say just the most out there, batshit insane conspiracy theories and talk about, hey, by the way, I think that, this may have happened. This may have happened. I think that aliens are controlling our penises through the alkaline iodine water that the frogs are turning gay, all that kind of stuff. That's all fine. I think you should have a platform to do it. Where you cross the line for me is doxing people and
Yes.
B, threatening people directly, such as the Sandy Hook kids. I think
Yes.
that's not a hard thing for everyone to agree that that was posing a direct danger to both the parents and the potential, children and other relatives of those families. That's very simple to me. So right there, I think you have the right in these public spaces to talk about things that may not be of the mainstream. Again, are far out there, and we don't need to censor that. But if you are going to directly dox, attack, or cause harm to people through your speech, then yeah, there should be a limit to it.
If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.